Hey guys, welcome back. Laz is here for Tuts Plus again, and in this part, or the next couple of parts, we're going to go ahead and finish these pieces off for Wally's threads. So this is where we left off last time. I did move some things around just to make it a little bit better and just to have a nicer scale. So let's go ahead and we're going to go ahead and create these sort of pipes and these sort of coolant spikes on this, I guess. So we're going to go ahead and start with a cylinder. So I'm just going to go into my front view and just grab a cylinder, and we're going to go just drag one out roughly and go into my perspective mode and just give it some height and move it in the right place. Going to go into my side view and turn X-ray on, and we're going to have to rotate this as well, but first we're going to go ahead and scale this down. So I'm going to scale it down roughly for this smallest pipe here. You can't really see it too much on the reference, but it is there. And then I'm going to go ahead and just rotate it roughly in the right place, I guess. So we're going to have to go ahead and play around with this a little bit more, but for now, just get it roughly in the right angle. Probably around there, I guess. So I'm going to also go ahead and grab these vertices and just move them back a little bit more. And then once we have that, we can go ahead and just add in the loops that we need really quickly. So I'm just going to isolate the whole piece, select all the faces, deselect the middle one, and then go ahead and tear off my edit mesh, extrude it, and then in my channel box I'm just going to give it a 0.05, probably, actually less than that. Let's go with 0.03, 0.02. Okay, that should do it. And I'm just going to give it 2 edge loops. I mean, we could also, as you could tell in the sort of previous pipes that we didn't really delete the faces. So the faces that they can't actually see, you can delete them if you want. I'm not too worried about performance and how heavy it's going to be. So just to save time for me, I'll probably go back and delete them faces off it later on, but for now, just to save tutorial time, I'm not really going to go ahead and delete all the faces. So for example, for these screws as well, you can go ahead and delete the inner faces that they can't actually see. But for me, I'm not going to go ahead and do all that for every single piece, because it would take, the tutorial would go on for even longer, but I'll probably do that later on. So once we have these, that inner pipe, which is going to be this one, we'll probably scale it down even more if I just look at the size of that one. This one seems to be a bit too big still. So let's just go ahead and scale this down a little bit more. Like so, that should do it. And then we're going to go ahead and create this next pipe. So if I just isolate it so you guys can have a look at it, so you can tell it's pretty simple. So let's go ahead and we can go ahead, you can do it 2 ways. You can create a pipe, or you can just duplicate this piece, which is what I'm going to do. And I'm just going to scale it down this way, and let me just have a look how long that is. That's pretty long. So I'm going to scale it down around this much and then scale it up. So I get roughly the right width for it. That should be around fine. Now I'm just going to go ahead and scale it down this way a bit more, unsmooth it. Now I'm going to select all these vertices and I'm going to go ahead and push these back. Okay. And now I'm going to go ahead and just isolate this and get rid of this loop. And also this loop, just to save me selection time when I select the faces, and then we'll go ahead and add them back on. So I'm going to select all of those faces and then deselect these to get that, and then going to unisolate. And now we can go ahead and extrude this and scale it in probably around that much, and then move it out. So we get that bit, and then once we have that, we can go ahead and extrude this one more time. So scale it in, and then we're going to extrude again and push this in like so. So you get this sort of gap in there that gives it a bit more realistic feel to it. So I'm just going to push it back roughly, go into my wireframe mode, extrude it one more time, move it back so I get that loop so I don't have to go in there again later, and extrude it one more time and scale it in. Okay, so that's great. And then now I'm just going to go ahead and isolate this piece to add in these edge loops that we didn't add. You could have added it while you were extruding as well. Okay, so we're going to need a loop here as well, and there, and there, and there, and here, and we still have the one at the end there, so it should be fine. Let's go ahead and smooth it, and there we got that piece created. So the next piece is going to be this, and that's just a cylinder. You can go ahead and make it a pipe again, so you get that little gap in there that makes it look a little bit better, but I think I'm just going to leave it a cylinder. So I'm just going to go ahead and grab this cylinder again, duplicate it, and then scale it. I'm going to also go ahead and make it a lot bigger. Okay, roughly probably around that big, and I'm going to scale it again to make it the right sort of size. And I'm just looking at that other piece to sort of see how tall this have to be. I guess I can do it in my side view as well. Okay, so that's just sort of a ring around there. That's probably the right size. I'll probably also go ahead and just scale this down a little bit. Okay, so that's great. And now we're going to go ahead and add these sort of spikes in there, and I think we're going to go ahead and make them separately. So let's go ahead and just drag out roughly the right size. We'll go ahead and position this properly later. So we're just going to start off with a sort of rectangle like so, and let's go ahead and add in an extra edge loop, probably around here. And while that edge loop is still selected, we're just going to go ahead and scale this in, so we get that sort of ring around there. And then we're going to go ahead and select these vertices and scale them in as well to get that sort of loop. This bit. Now I think we're also going to go ahead and select these vertices again and just squeeze them in a little bit more. And this seems to be a bit too tall, so I'm just going to go ahead and push it down. Same with this one. Just going to go ahead and push it down a bit. Okay, so that looks pretty good. So we go scale it a bit more. I think we're also going to select just these two edges and scale them this way to make them a bit more thinner. Okay, so that looks pretty good, I think. Let's go ahead and add in the edge loops that we need. So this will keep its shape. Okay, so we're nearly there. So let's go ahead and hit that smooth button and see how this is going to look. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and try to get this in the right place. So I'm just going to select it, press W, and I'm just going to go ahead and hold down V and snap it to that vertex so it roughly gets in the right place. Move it up, and we're obviously going to have to do a lot of scaling with this and rotation. So let me just have a look where these sit. Okay, so that seems to be one sits right in the middle. So I'm just going to select these two and isolate them. Only them two, like so. And I'm going to go into my top view and get this to move to this vertex, so it's right in the center. And after we've done one, it's going to be pretty easy to do the rest of them. So let me just see how much this piece is rotated, and it's rotated 6.15 degrees. So I'm going to go that and then put in this one, and that way it should line up pretty well. Now we're just going to push it in. Okay, and we can again play around with the scale. We're going to go to modify and center pivot, and then scale this down a bit more. Okay, so that looks pretty good. I'm just going to go ahead and do some adjustments. So I'm going to grab these vertices and drag them out this way. Same with the other side to make it a bit longer. Okay, so that looks quite good. I think it might be a bit too tall, so I'm just going to go ahead and select these top vertices and push them down a bit. And also I can go ahead and make it a bit more thin, like so, smooth it, and that looks pretty good. So now we have that, we can just press insert on our keyboard and move the pivot to this vertex. Press insert, and then now we can duplicate it and rotate it around that point. So it seems like it's rotated -35, and then duplicate this again, and this one's going to be rotated 35. And that shouldn't be rotated, I don't think. Let me just do that again. So duplicate, rotate it this way, 35. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and isolate and see how it's looking. Might be a little bit too tall still, but we can always go back and play around with it a bit more. So select them words. You can always again make this piece look different than what mine is like, to play around with it a bit more. But I don't want to spend too much time on this piece, so you can make, I guess, these ones shorter on the side and then keep the one in the middle tall. So let's just go ahead and do that and see how that would look. Okay, so that looks pretty cool, I guess. And I also can go ahead and make this one a bit shorter. Alright, so that piece is created. You just see how we're doing with time. We've still got 7 minutes-ish. So let's go ahead and we're going to start blocking this piece out that actually holds everything together here. And it's also the piece that's going to join up to this joint to his body. So we're going to use this as a reference, and you're just going to have to sort of try to get the proportions right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and delete these pieces so they're out of the way. Now I'm going to go ahead and add all this stuff to this layer for now, so I can go ahead and hide it, and that way I only have to worry about this piece. So let's go into our front view or side view. Let's just have a look how this is constructed. Okay, so if I unsmooth it, as you can tell, this sort of started out as a cylinder, and then we extruded it along, played around with extrude and stuff, and that's how we ended up with this shape. Okay, so I'm gonna unisolate and just go into our side view, and let's go ahead and start with a cylinder, and we'll probably start in the center of this pipe, like so. Drag it out roughly the right size, and go into my front view, give it some thickness, Okay, so it's probably going to be around there, and I'm going to drag in the right place. So obviously you don't have this shape, so what you can do is, like you said earlier, you can just use this reference. So it goes probably here where this triangle is on the reference, so you can just use that to get in the right place. Okay, so I'm also going to go ahead and make it a little bit thinner, like so, and that looks about right. Then I'm going to go delete all these faces because we don't need them, and then we can go ahead and start extruding this edge. So just going to double click this edge, go into my side view. Oh, that looks about right. So I'm going to go into my front view first, and I'm going to go ahead and extrude this, and my offset is freaking out again, but it's fine. So let's go ahead and drag this up. So you don't have this reference, so you're going to drag it up to the second thread here, probably around halfway, and extrude it again, and then move it up. And we're also going to go ahead and grab this vertex on the side, and you're going to drag it out around there. Okay, let's go ahead and select this edge again, go into our front view, extrude, and let's go ahead and drag this up. And then again, let's select this vertex and just push it out this way. We might have to play around with this vertex a bit more to get it smooth enough. And I'm going to select this loop again, go back into our front view, extrude up, turn down the offset. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Seems like we're also going to go ahead and push this vertex out a little bit, and also this one. And then let's go ahead and select this edge loop one more time. Go into our front view and extrude one last time, turn down the offset. Your extrude is probably not freaking out like mine. It's just because I gotta reset the settings on it, and then it should be fine. So let's go ahead and select this vertex and then push it in where it's meant to be. Okay, so basically we got our block. So now we're just going to go ahead and fill this top piece up, and we've been using extrude technique, so that we just extrude these two edges, and then we merge the vertices. That's probably the simplest way to do it. It's probably not the fastest. You can also go ahead and I'll show this. It shouldn't be overwhelming you an extra tool. So you can select like both of these edges, and then you can use the bridge tool if I find it. If you go into the settings, you can set the divisions to how many you need. For this we only need one, so if we click apply, as you can tell, this will bridge the two together, and then we can just go ahead and delete these two edges, and it's all filled. So if you move this, as you can tell, all the vertices are merged together, but most of the time I just stick to my standard tools. Extruding and merging vertices is probably the simplest way, and that's why we've been using that all the way along now, so you guys don't get lost in all the tools that we are using. So once we have the block out, we're going to go ahead and add this extra sort of shield piece to it. Okay, so this will give it some extra detail, and we've got to do some sort of fairly complicated cuts here, but it's not that bad. And these pieces are stolen from the head, so you're going to go ahead and add these, and then our thread will be done. So I will see you guys in the next part.